Hey, Pastor Dave here. I'm with Dr. Adam Francisco. He's the scholar in resident at 1517.org, also a professor of history, adjunct at.
Concordia, Chicago.
All right. All right, so he's here at Higher Things teaching about apologetics and so forth. Okay, question for you. A young person in your church comes to you and says, hey, Pastor Francisco, I heard there are books taken out of the Bible. What would you say to that young person? Were there? And if there weren't, why would somebody say it in the first place?
So I'd say there were not books taken out of the Bible. However, there were historically, when the Bible was put together, if you will, when the 66 books or the 27 books of the New Testament are sorted out and put into use in churches and so on, there were other books out there. There were other gospels, or they're called gospels, floating around that were not included, and for good reason. You perhaps heard of Gospel Thomas and other gospels that are attributed to the apostles, but they're all written by communities, heretical, Gnostic Christian communities, 200 years and more after the apostles were even dead. So they were forged in a way by these heretical communities and treated like Scripture. But when the early church decided what was, the term is canonical, what belonged in the New Testament, they had a certain criteria. And one of those was, when it came to a gospel, was it written by a eyewitness or a companion to the eyewitnesses of the life and teachings of Jesus? And only Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John passed muster. So it wasn't for like some political reasons or even theological reasons, though there were some theological reasons that went into the decision making. One of the major criteria was, could they be trustworthy documents in reporting on the life and teachings of Jesus? And if they weren't in a good position, they were not included. But the church has never tried to hide that there are these other ones floating around. In fact, the early church fathers, the first 300 years of Christians, refer to some of these and tell us they weren't included because they're not written by eyewitnesses. So it's a real kind of basic, reasonable reason for not including them.
Exactly. I mean, if you and I were living in 250 AD and we decided to write something and call it a gospel, why would they include it in the first place, right?
Yeah, you can go online and read these things, and it'd be strange. Some of them are very strange, like the Gospel of Peter. We just have a fragment from it, and it wasn't written by Peter. It's probably late 3rd century, maybe 4th century, and it tells us, it picks up at the empty tomb on Easter morning, and you get this empty tomb, these two angels come out of the tomb, their heads all of a sudden stretch into the heavens, and then the cross comes out, kind of bouncing like on a pogo stick, and the cross starts speaking. So a lot of them, some of them are more reasonable than others, but a lot of them are just clearly put together by crazy people.
All right. Well, anyways, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you. Y'all have a wonderful day. Remember that Jesus does indeed love you.